Hello everyone, and welcome along to the final week of our Porsche Community Legends. We have the very best gamers from the last couple of weeks here to compete for prizes thanks to our sponsors Fanatec, and perhaps for some of them the chance to drive and win a direct drive steering wheel and Porsche 911 replica GT3 wheel that Earl Bamber knows very well and has stared at for many an hour. Earl, our expert commentator for today, back at the farm in New Zealand, therefore it's early and maybe the internet's a little dodgy. How are we doing this morning, Earl?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I thought, final race of the season, I'd throw something back into the mix. It was far too easy the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And the great thing about having Earl with us today is he's got lots of dirt to dish out on our three professional Porsche drivers that have joined us as part of this final. If you cast your eyes to the left-hand side, you will see a certain Matt Campbell. You'll also see Richard Lietz, although actually I can't see Richard on that list at the moment, and Julien Andlauer as well. There he is. There's Julien in the yellow and red machine. We will talk a little bit more about those guys in a few moments' time, but great to have some real-world Porsche representation.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to see a few of my teammates. Actually, Matt was driving for my race team in Bathurst once, winning that race, and Richard obviously is part of the RSR program as well. I see him down in 18th place, and Julien, a young professional now for Porsche as well, and having a little chat with them, obviously changing disciplines from the normal platform that they're racing into RaceRoom. They're finding it quite challenging and very different to normal, but Matt's almost busting inside the top 10, which is pretty good going, I think.
There is no normal in sim racing, they're just different. That's what my dad used to tell me when I was younger. Let's firstly take a look. What we're supposed to do first? Hang on a second. Let's firstly take a look at the full entry list of drivers that are participating this evening. Many drivers that you will know very well from RaceRoom. On the left-hand column, the top 5 were those that qualified in our first week. So Ben Spanky, Moritz Lerner, Mark Gasser, Emir Chan, and Jack Keithley, they qualified in week 1. Then Tim Marshall, Alejandro Verle, Kevin Siggy, Nikodem Wisniewski, and Kirill Antonov qualified in week 2. Yeah, we are switching now to number 2 and number 4. Who knows why? Johan Jajowski, Jacob Brzezinski, Johannes Werner, Adam Piszek, and Marko Pajek were our qualifiers last week. Now, they all qualified in different cars. So week 1 was the GT3, that we see right now. The week 2 was the slidey old original variant of the Super Cup car from the early 90s. And then we went to the GTE car, the WEC car, last week. So this week we're going back to the GT3 for the first 2 races, and we've got a different format today because we're not just going to be racing 2 races with reverse grid, we're going to have 4 races with reverse grid, kicking off with the Nürburgring, as you can see, in the GT3 car, but then we will be switching completely to Monza with the Group C962. Super excited to see how that goes. There are going to be 2 races in each. They're going to be shorter than we've seen before, so a 15-minute race 1 and a 20-minute race 2. Race 2 is a full reverse grid top to bottom from the result of race 1. So there's going to be a certain amount of strategy, Earl, if you don't think you're having a great race 1, then you could focus on race 2 because there are big points for those top positions. 25 for the win, 20 for second, and 16 for third. That's a big old jump from perhaps just grabbing a 9th or a 10th.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also this week with 2 reverse grid races, obviously a lot shorter than our typical 35-minute races that we've been doing previous weekends. It's a lot less time to get through the traffic, and it's going to really emphasize having 2 strong reverse grid races. Obviously the opening lap is the biggest chance to make a lot of ground, but it's also the biggest chance to lose your race, or we could almost call it a championship this weekend.
It is a little mini championship today with 4 races, 4 points scoring opportunities. Alongside those drivers that have qualified, we've also got our guest drivers, our influencers, if you like, and some of them have been relatively good. We saw this man, Steve Alvarez, Super GT, right at the sharp end at Silverstone National Circuit in the second race. He really held on. So Super GT is racing with us as one of our influencers. We've also got happy birthday Jaroslav Honzik, Yardier, who is pretty much, I've said it before, yes, a YouTuber, but also a pretty serious gamer, and he really knows his stuff about RaceRoom. So watch out for Jaroslav getting himself a birthday treat with perhaps a good result at some point. We've also got Gaming Dave in the mix of things, otherwise known as Dave Gaming. See, he's DG or GD, depends on his mood, I think. So Gaming Dave with us. And then Rainer Held, or Rai, is also one of our influencers from Germany. And we also have Rainer Hauser, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce his gaming name because it's very German, and he's Ralph on that piece of paper, sorry. Ralph Hauser. Aber
you've done it every week.
Come on, Earl, you go for it. What does it say?
No, you go for it. You go for it. I'd love to hear how you do it.
As you're working for a German manufacturer, you have no excuse. Abgefahren. I'm surprised nobody's laughed in my ear yet. So Xavier Sanchez is another of our influences. Heike 360 ES, he is better known as. And the last of the influencers I think we're seeing today is James West. Gamer Muscle Videos. Gamer Muscle, James West. I say their real names and their tags because they do appear differently on the graphics. So keep an eye out for all of those drivers. Fail Race was also with us at the start. I'm not quite sure if he's with us this week. But Fail Race has been part of it too. So that is our real-world expert gamers, our influencers. Now, let's meet our Porsche factory drivers. Driver number one then, Julien Andlauer. Probably not Julien because he's not French. He is French. Sorry, got confused. So Julien Andlauer, and the winner of the Porsche Carrera Cup France in 2017, progressed up into the Super Cup as well as driving in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. And Earl, he's been doing a bit of sim racing over the last couple of weeks.
Yep, no, he's been doing a few. We've been seeing him in the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. I also did a race against him the other day, so yeah, he's definitely been putting in the miles.
Julien, a very, very competent driver. We saw him in the Mobil 1 Super Cup, as Earl said, at the weekend. Unfortunately, he hasn't really performed in the Super Cup, but that was a different platform. Today is a different day. This is RaceRoom. Our next pro driver is Matt Campbell, all the way from Australia. Not quite sure if he's in Australia or in Germany right now. Winner of the Porsche Carrera Cup in Australia, and then came over and won Le Mans in 2018. That's a good card with Bathurst 12 Hours last year as well, and a man you know well.
Yes, so it's awesome to see Matt on the grid. Very accomplished sim racer, actually. Incredibly fast in the races that I've seen him do. And then obviously close to my own heart is 2019 Bathurst 12-hour win as well. So really interested to see how he gets on. He was just outside of the top 10 in practice. So I think we can see big things, especially in the verse grid races from Matt.
And is Matt in Australia right now, or is he based in Germany?
No, he's in Germany.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's his place of residence. I was reading that wrong. Richard Lietz, a man that was being trained today by Jaroslav Honzik, looking particularly strong. Lots and lots of titles to Richard's name, including the Super Cup back in the day. I think of him as an old boy of the Porsche works drivers, but he's only a couple of years older than me, which was very embarrassing. Probably a year and a half, actually. But amazing amazing wins across the years for Richard. And again, another man who's been part of the Mobil 1 Super Cup. And I think this is kind of a new thing for Richard in terms of sim racing.
Yeah, it's definitely new for Richard, the sim racing world, and for a lot of people to come onto the platforms and start, obviously, in these times. But hopefully the world opens up and we can go normal racing. But you know, when you look at Richard's CV there, he's nearly won everything when it comes to endurance racing and sports car racing. So he's very good, and he's going to be great in this field.
And one more pro driver who is not driving today. It's Mr. Earl Bamber. That's what he looks like in real life, folks. Not living in Kuala Lumpur right now. Back in New Zealand, back at the farm, but plenty of wins to your name, and a couple of things missing off that card.
Yeah, there's a few things. The highlights, but no, it's really awesome to see myself, and obviously, you know, there's not much to comment about myself.
Get rid of him, because he's qualifying on. Well, he's only got 7 minutes. We don't need to see his face anymore. No, they're not listening to me. We just want to be looking at Earl's face. Yes, good. Right, qualifying. Let's get on to the competitive stuff. There is some serious prizes to be won thanks to Fanatec. Fanatec, our main sponsor for this competition. We are going to do a little reset here, get everything back up and running. So give us a few moments' time. Obviously, technical challenges in this COVID world, but we will be back with you shortly. Welcome along to the first race. And we've got Jack Keithley at the front of the field. This is race 2 of our first race here at the Nürburgring GP track. And we will have 2 races here, and then we'll have 2 races at Monza with a reverse grid. Kevin Ziggy. Sixth position for Kevin Ziggy, very well-known racer, both in the RaceRoom world, but also in other simulations as well. Myself, Ben Colson-Duras, with you this evening, as I've been throughout the last couple of weeks. This is the final. This is the chance to win some Fanatec Porsche not memorabilia, kit. steering wheel and pedal sets, something that myself and Earl Bamber will be very jealous of. Earl is a co-commentator, looking forward to speaking about some pro Porsche drivers. Not quite sure where they are at the moment, Earl, but we're into the race. We're into a very short first 15-minute race.
Yeah, it's very quick fire, obviously, for us. Managed to find everyone back just now, and yeah, the normal culprits up the front. We were told that Jeff Keithley's an absolute demon around here. It sounds like he knows it's a special way around the track, and maybe he's missing a corner or so. No idea, but he's so quick around the circuit. As we're seeing the battle here for 5th and 6th with Kevin Siggy on screen right now. I see my own race team's livery just in front of that as well. So yeah, it's great to see a really frantic race.
We saw the GT3 cars in the first week. We saw that there was about 4 or 5 cars with Earl Bamber's name or livery on. So look out for those. Here's Nikodem Wisniewski, one of the Williams eSports drivers who actually initially hadn't qualified through on week 2. Got promoted because we saw one driver getting penalised, and Wisniewski looking to the inside line here to get himself up to 3rd position. The key thing here, with 4 races, all points scoring the same, will be consistency. Wisniewski losing a spot there to Brzezinski, his teammate on the inside of him. Wisniewski to the outside, and that's a Williams 3-4 right now. So good efforts from them, and of course Jack Heathley, also Williams eSports, up in the lead of the race, still side by side between the 2 teammates. They should have hopefully been working together here to make sure they get the very best out of it. There is Jack going through screen. Actually, Jack Heathley, you talk about him being a master around Nürburgring. He was actually a winner on, not a winner, sorry. He finished 6th position on Saturday at the Nürburgring, but in a completely different format of racing and car. So he still knows his way around the circuit regardless of the platform.
Yeah, all of these guys are very, very diverse. I'd hate to know the amount of hours that these simulators, or they've got a lot more talent than all of us. You know, Ben and myself, we call ourselves amateur sim racers at the moment, trying to get caught up with all of these guys. But it's awesome to see such a frenetic battle right now. For almost the top, we've almost got 6-7 cars lined up in a row, and around here at Nürburgring, it's also awesome to see there's a lot of opportunities to switch back. So when you're trying to make a pass, it's very difficult to get that pass completed normally.
And remember, when we did our races the last couple of weeks, we had a 20 or 25-minute race 1, and then we had a 35-minute race 2. Full reverse grid for race 2, so whoever finishes last here will have the pole position for that 2nd race, and then we'll go into another qualifier in Monza before 2 races there. So the reason it's frenetic and quick-paced is because these guys need to get their moves done quickly. There's no time to hang about.
No, there's no time to hang about at all in any of these races right now. Oh, as who is that just got turned around and caused a whole lot of drama there at turn 1?
Oh, it was Brzezinski. So Brzezinski, I misidentified in the black and red car. He hasn't lost too many positions. The damage model is quite low here, but in 6th position, he'll still score a couple of points. Quite get a chance to see the timing tower to see exactly who our top contenders are. We do know that Jack Keithley is in the lead of the race, and we know that Wisniewski is potentially in 3rd or 4th spot right now. Not quite sure where our Porsche Works drivers are, nor the influencers that we've got involved this evening. We've seen some good performances from our influencers over the last couple of weeks, Al.
Yeah, definitely, especially in these reverse grid races, when they get a bit of clear track in front of themselves and a chance to be ahead of our normal drivers. They are definitely holding their own, and with a much shorter 2nd race this weekend, only 20 minutes, I think we can see a lot of them holding their position in the points. And when we talk about influencers, these guys are very much top level gamers and very strong in the game themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They're not just random people who talk about hair and makeup on YouTube. These guys talk about racing for real and therefore do a lot of it themselves. Happy birthday to Jaroslav Honzik. It's birthday today, Javier. a good way to celebrate. He's been spending all day hanging out with Richard Lietz, giving him the lowdown on how to get around this circuit and this game. Because, of course, you guys as pro drivers have been focusing on other platforms and not doing so much in RaceRoom.
Yeah, we haven't done so much in RaceRoom. We've been doing other platforms, and obviously you mentioned a good word there. They are simulations or games as well, still at the end of the day, and there's always these sort of little loopholes in each individual one that makes them special, or their idiosyncrasies. It's exactly the same for us, like driving 911 RSR and then driving a 911 GT3 R. They've got their little tricks and idiosyncrasies that you've got to work out between those two different platforms of cars, and even championships and tyres and all that sort of stuff. So the more you do something, the better you get at it.
Looking at Wisniewski and his teammate Brzezinski behind. We did see a little shot there of Kirill Antonov, who actually in his week qualified as the best driver, but then got penalised because of some contact and nearly didn't qualify because of that. It was very, very close to not qualifying. We've had a huge amount of people going and trying to qualify over the last couple of weeks as part of the race room. Up to 5,000 entrants each week trying to get just 25 spots on our grid. So it's been an incredible take-up and a fantastic initiative from Porsche and RaceRoom. Not necessarily to do the most serious of competitions, and that's why they got me involved, but to just have a bit of fun on a Tuesday evening with a load of mates, and obviously have the opportunity to win some great Fanatec products. The podium wheelbase DD2 and the pedals for our champion Emir Cihan from Turkey. Was a very strong contender in week one. Week one, apparently, he was from China, but that was completely made up by me. There he is, struggling in the middle of the top 10 at the moment, so not necessarily as sharp end. And my assumption would be that the best 5 were the 5 that qualified in week one. And of course, Jack Keighley was the best qualifier of week one. But let's see where Ben Spanky is. He's also been very successful, as with Moritz Lerner, in RaceRoom front-wheel drive last night in the World Touring Car Cup. So switching from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive in the space of a day at the very highest level, that's a tough thing to do, Earl.
Yeah, it's a tough thing in any discipline, swapping around the cars, and obviously we also talked about swapping around the platforms. My colleagues are also learning the RaceRoom platform as they go through the race. I'm really curious to find out where they are running in the race right now. But yeah, that's some challenge. Switch from front wheel drive to rear wheel drive, and obviously all these guys have got their specialities. We're going to see them do a completely different car model at the next event coming up really, really soon as well, which is going to be interesting to see if that jumbles up. And when we talk about the top 5 from each week, they are incredibly competitive races, and obviously we raced in different platforms, and we saw some people particularly strong in different platforms.
Right, so I can tell you that Jack Keighley is leading by 1.2 seconds over Tim Yarshall in second. Then we've got Moritz Lerner, who is just ahead of Nikodim Wisniewski here. Mark Gasser just behind them in the next group, under pressure from Jacob Brzezinski. And then Adam Piszczek, Kirill Antonov, Emir Cihan, Jaroslav Honzik, best of our influences P10, and best of the Porsche drivers, Matt Campbell in P12. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a really, really strong outing for Matt Campbell. P12, obviously we know how hard it is to crack the top 10. It probably means he could have been a qualifier in an outright situation alone by doing one of these races, but very, very strong result. He takes the sim racing deadly serious. I know he's set up in his room in Germany at the moment, so he'll be having in for a big night. And I would pick that he's going to be one of the contenders for a reverse grid race podium. We
did lose quite a few drivers at the start of the race. Just trying to read their names. I think Eryo Nujovski was one that we lost. Also, Kevin Ziggy seems to be on my screen in 25th position. Ben Spanky, 24th. Julien Andlauer as well. and Marco Piget. I'm not entirely sure whether that's correct, but certainly a couple of cars look to be retired out of this race. So maybe focusing on getting 25 points in race 2. Is there some kind of strategy? I remember back in the day when you were in single seaters, you used to support the World Touring Car Championship, and Andy Prio always used to focus on race 2 rather than race 1. It was a bit confusing, but is there a thought process there?
I mean, with both races being equal points, you know, if you're outside of that top 15, there's really no point to do much, because you're just going to need to focus yourself on race 2 to get that maximum points. So, you know, if you have a shocker on the first lap, then it's probably easier to start on the front row and nearly guarantee yourself those 25 points compared to your colleagues that are fighting at the back. At the end of the day, anytime you can grab some points, you have to grab them on the table.
Looked like that might have been a move, or certainly under pressure. Mark Gasser, Williams. Does that say Williams Gym Esports? I'm sure he started when we saw him. He was looking for a team, wasn't he? It was one of our drivers that qualified looking for a team, and that may well have been him. Either way, he's defending here from Brzezinski trying to get round the outside. Pinech is also part of it, and there was a little bit of a battle going on further back, and I think that was Jaroslav Honzik who has just managed to get past Emir Jahan. Here, the two of them in the exactly the same liveries coming through the exit of the, what do they call this, Mercedes Arena, is it? I can't remember that's the Mercedes Arena in Hockenheim. But Honzik doing a great job, considering he's one of our influencers.
Yeah, our influencers are having a really, really strong race, and another shout is to Richard Lietz, who's running 14th right now, just behind, a few spots behind Matt Campbell. Looks like, with 17 seconds on the clock, two of my colleagues and works drivers is going to score points in the first race of the season.
Good effort from those boys. Lots of training, clearly. Here is Jack Keithley, Williams Esports. Good start, clean start, and he has done exactly what he needs to do. Race 1, get himself maximum points, and then put the pressure on everybody else for the full reverse grid race. Yes, he's going to have to start from the back in a 20-minute race. That is not easy. Yarshall will be second and Lerner will be third, but you can see Yayovsky will start on pole, and Kevin Ziggy will be alongside, and Bent Banky will be alongside that. That's an incredibly strong grid for race 2, but it's Jack Keithley who wins our first race from Tim Yarshall in second spot, and Moritz Lerner will come around to finish in third position, with Wisniewski, Gasser, Brzezinski and Pinjek coming across the line further behind. Then Kirill Antonov, Honzik, Chian, Matt Campbell, Vela, Super GT, Richard Lietz and Rainer Held is your top 15 point scorers for race 1. So that was a bit...
Yeah, they are right up there. Obviously, double point score for the 2 out of the 3 guys, and I think Julien Andlauer is looking strong for the second race. Obviously, going to be in the front 2 rows for race 2 here. Very, very short race though. Obviously, everyone was still very condensed, but you got to take your hats off to Jack Keithley. We were talking, I guess, in our pre-race show about who's going to be strong, and there are the results.
Not long though, because we'll bounce straight into the reverse grid for race 2. This is going to be breathless stuff this afternoon, this evening, this morning, wherever you're watching around the world. And just remember, Jack Keithley, Tim Yarshall, and in third position, Moritz Lerner. Those are your keys. I hope somebody has written those results down, because I didn't, and I haven't got a piece of paper to do so. So I'm hoping our boss Johnson has managed to get those results down for race 1, because we're going to need the maths when it comes to the 3rd and 4th race to actually work out who has got themselves a podium wheelbase DD2 and V3 pedals. I've got my V3 pedals underneath my feet right now. That is for the winner. No pedals for second place and a DD1 for third spot. All with a Porsche GT3 R wheel. Here we go then. We are off, underway and racing for our second race and reverse grid race. Ziggy and Banky on the front row. So there is no Jan Jajowski. He has obviously decided to get out of this race. A horrible first corner at Hockenheim. Got to stay out of trouble. A little bit of loading going on, a little bit of banging. Marco Pichek really wants the inside line in that road racing machine. Has held on to at least P4, but gets shut down by James West. Game of muscle, showing his muscle, and holds on to third position. Didn't have much of a run of things. Julien Andlauer is behind. And down the inside, Piek tries to go further back. Here is Rainer Held going 3 wide with Matt Campbell in there. I think maybe even fail race as well. We go on board with Rainer Held looking at fail race. Looks to the inside line. Is he later on the brakes? He is, and the door is left wide open. And is that Matt Campbell in the black car having a bit of a muscle? He is getting involved. Great stuff.
Yeah, Matt Campbell looks like he's on a charge, and it's a great fight through the middle of the field. Everyone's really on it right now, you know, fighting frenetically. It looks very clean racing, but it looks a lot more aggressive than what we've seen in the traditional 35-minute reverse grid races.
Yeah, we've already got 20 minutes of this race for these guys at the back to make their progress up to the front without too much contact. Contact in the middle of the pack there. Somebody got turned around. Who is missing? Matt Campbell was one of them, sadly. You can see the smoke in the very tail of the field. He's being collected by Mark Gasser, and Gasser was a point scorer in race 1. So, and Adam Pizhnech as well, the Hungarian. So 3 big names then to the tail of the field there, and that is a bit of a worry. Moritz Lerner has not made any progress up through the field. Wisniewski's up to 18th, Yarshall 17th, and Jack Keithley 16th. So at the moment out the points, but plenty of time for them to make their progress. But the problem is, the pace is good at the front. It's not like they're running a slow pace, because they've got Siggy and Banky setting in a really good pace and got more people turned around at the back there.
Yeah, and like what we said, this is a equal point scoring race. So, you know, Kevin Siggy and Banky are going for, like they finished first and second in the first race. But more impressively is some of our guys that won the first race. Jack Keithley is already right inside the points in P10. So this is, you know, for the overall win of the weekend, it's incredibly important to be inside the top 10 already on lap 2 with 17 minutes remaining. He's looking strong.
On board with Kirill Antonov, down to the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, looking at Ralph Hauser just ahead. That should be easy pickings. He'll be confident that he can get through this traffic early on. He's not got too much hassle from behind, having just passed Julien Andlauer and made it easy work of that. Kirill Antonov, part of the Lada Esports e-racing team. Knowing that who Lada is owned by, knowing who Rosneft is owned by, that is basically a government-run team, as is most of Russia, I suppose. But Kirill Antonov, really with pressure on his shoulders here, should be able to get past Hauser pretty easily. We've got the slow, clunky chicane here at Hockenheim today, rather than the more fast and sweepy version that some of the GT cars use.
Yeah, we always use the fast, sweepy one for the VLN races in the middle of the 24-hour. The slow one is just a Formula 1 track, and also what everyone uses for Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. I actually prefer the slow chicane rather than personal preference, I guess.
Okay. You like to get it slowed down and smack.
Otherwise, that very well.
I hope you've been listening over the last couple of weeks. If this is your first time, make sure you go back over to the broadcast that we've had on the Porsche YouTube channel. As Antonov looks down the inside of Gaming Dave, that should be easy done. Make sure you don't shut the door here. All the way around the outside, nicely done and safe. Do go back and watch all of these races. Not only are they great entertainment, but there's some fantastic stories from Earl Bamber over the last couple of years that we've learned so much about our expert driver. Obviously, we're watching expert drivers out there, but we don't get a chance to speak to them. We don't get a chance to hear those amazing stories of going to scrutineering with 2 left feet and the like. Yeah, you're going to have to tune in and find that over the next 3 hours of video. Plenty of sim racing on the Porsche YouTube channel. Fantastic to see that the likes of, it's not Porsche Motorsport, it is Porsche's YouTube channel where they launch all of their cars. They also have us tonight and lots of other sim sport as well. So definitely worth a watch. Did I see Jack Keithley up to 9th? I did. That car, it stands out like a sore thumb, the livery, and he is making incredible progress. Keithley up now to 8th position, passes Andlauer. Tim Yarshall just behind, following through. Yarshall's obviously got the plan to stick close to him. Ahead, Hauser and Gaming Dave run side by side. Well, Jack Keithley will be thankful of that because that should put him up another place. But amazing progress from Jack Keithley already with what? Only 6 minutes of the race gone.
Yeah, that's incredible progress through the field. He's, really, really done an amazing job. He looks like he's about to grab, when he comes across the line, he's battling for P5 right now. And I think he can definitely grab P5 or P6 really, really easily. And, one thing that you've got to be careful is when you're battling like this, especially in the reverse grid race, some of these guys don't quite have the same pace as the guys behind. But when you start a big fight, we always call it plummeting. And when you fight like that side by side, you tend to plummet back towards, this ferocious pack that's chasing after these guys. So they need to be careful, the guys up front, to just keep driving clean laps, even if it means sacrificing position for now, because they might save themselves a lot of positions towards the end of the race.
We haven't seen yet, but Kevin Siggy and Ben Spanky at the front of the field, separated by about a second each. So they are doing what you say. They're concentrating on just getting away, knowing that Jack Keithley had to get through all this traffic. But that has been an incredible drive. Here's Kirill Antonov on the tail of James West, otherwise known as Gamer Muscle. Goes to the outside line here. We'll give him the inside to the next corner, but Gamer Muscle was not able to get his elbows out there at all. And now Antonov has got some serious clear space. But look who's behind Tim Yarshall and Jack Keithley. Yarshall in the AM series of the SRO series, whereas Keithley's in the silver. As I say, at this very track, did an amazing job just Sunday. There's been lots of congratulations to Porsche over the last couple of weeks as Keithley down the inside of Gamer Muscle now. On Thursday night, Earl Bamber did not win the IMSA race, but Nick Tandy for a Porsche managed to grab a victory, and well done to Larry Ten Voorde as well for winning the Mobil 1 Super Cup Virtual Edition on Saturday. So much sim racing to get your teeth into. Oh, Gamer Muscle gets back down the inside of Jack Keithley.
Yeah, that was a big move, a huge dive bomb, straight back up the inside of Jack Keithley. I'm sure Jack Keithley won't like that, and now they've got a ferocious battle. There was side-to-side contact there. I wonder if that damaged Keithley's car, and did someone have a moment and have a spin there?
Just behind Wisniewski, it did look like there was either a big old lock-up or something. No real starring performance from Emir Chahan here, obviously struggling in a car that he managed to qualify in week 1 around Hockenheim in the GT3 car, but sitting there in 13th spot. Wisniewski only 10th position, so hasn't made up the progress. Remember, in race 1, it was Yarshall, Keithley, and the third driver was Moritz Lerner. Lerner is only in 12th, so has not made the progress that he would want to. Lerner was a big star last night in the World Touring Car Cup, the WTCR, front wheel drive, and finishing that championship, I think, in 3rd position. Wisniewski looking down the inside of Andlauer. He's been rubbing doors with Andlauer, but manages to get that finished and sealed. And he can now focus on chasing.
We've missed it, but Yarshall's got in front of Keithley, so that must mean that there was some sort of contact for him to lose a bit of time there in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. We were talking about the fact that Game of Muscle was giving the two a bit of hassle, and perhaps too much hassle. And Yarshall ahead of Keithley. That's good for our battle of the championship. Where they are right now, there is only 1 point separating the places that they're in. So they need to move a bit further up for that difference to be made. But and it's going to be hard because PX up there is fast, Banksy and Siggy and Antonov as well. So the pace at the front is hot as Wisniewski goes finally and does the deal around Gamer Muscle, who is, you know, he's putting up a fight, isn't he? He's obviously not fast, but he's making sure it's hard for these guys to pass. Just to let you know, guys, we are aware of there's problems with the lagging. We're seeing it as well as you guys. Please make sure you go and check out all of our influencers because they'll give their very unique perspectives. Game of Muscle will be fantastic to watch right now with him really giving hassle to our front runners who've come through. It looks a bit more smooth lag-wise at the moment, so it's not the end of the world. Here's Bent Banki. Just chasing Kevin Siggy and trying to get onto the tail of him. No need though, really. You wouldn't want to be fighting and allowing the guys behind to catch up with, you know, still 8 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and we've also seen team tactics come into play. If we remember back to the Silverstone race, we saw some of the teammates lining up and drafting each other to help them in some of these races as well. So I'm sure when we're hopping over to Monza next, we're going to see a little bit more of that, because at the end of the day, even though it's sim racing, it's still a team sport, and you know, the more friends you have out there, the more you learn about the track, the different car, as quick as you can. So I think we're going to see that as well come into play at some point in time during one of these races.
Looking a bit further back, Johannes Varner, he was the driver looking for a team. Still looking for a team, trying to get past Ralph Hauser. There's still points available to those boys, and actually with this shorter race, it does mean that our influencers are much more likely to get points. Matt Campbell is at the tail of the field, sadly. He won't be getting points, and Super GT is down there, and Heike 360. Was that a spinner? Was that Julien Andlauer going for a spin? Maybe he just about kept it. Nope. In fact, that is Game of Muscle, again, trying to get back past Amir Jahan. He's really putting up a great fight. Definitely worth going and visiting his Twitch or YouTube channel just to see what kind. He must be having a lot of fun here and sweating a lot too.
Yeah, he's just throwing it back down the inside of everybody. He's refusing to fall back into the clutches of the cars behind, so it's making it for great entertainment for us. Like Ben said, I would get over and watch his onboard. I'm terrified to try to see it because I'd probably lose my internet.
Yeah, don't touch it, whatever you do, it's going really well right now in New Zealand. Anyway, here's Ben Spanky, as I said, another of our WTCR converts from last night to tonight. So the commitment that these guys are putting in right now with all of these high profile competitions is absolutely amazing. Great to see that Bence has now been picked up by the Red Bull Esports team to represent them in various races. Hello if you're watching to their team manager, Nisi Naujoks, I hope he is. Jack Keithley having a few internet connection problems there by the looks of things. Really jumping all over the place. But Keithley's on the back of Yarshall, and for me, this could well be crucial. This is the battle between the two leaders of our championship right now, and it's really played into the hands of Keithley to be here at Nürburgring for these first two races. He needs to maximise points here because kind of Monza is a bit of an unknown, as well as the 962 that we're going to be running.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of an unknown to everybody, and yeah, like we spoke at the top of the show, Jack Keithley is an absolute monster around Nürburgring. It seems that whatever he touches around this track, he's always on fire. So a really strong double point scoring situation out of the first two races from here. Obviously relaxes himself and gives him a lot less pressure going into Monza. He will be he doesn't have to win.
Yeah, exactly. 11 points for 5th position, where he is right now. Yarsha will get 10 for 6th spot. It's 25 points for the win that he's picked up already. Kevin Ziggy and Ben Banky are in those positions right now, but crucially, neither picked up a single point in our first race. So they will need to do double scores when we get to Monza, and a very easy place to overtake. So it'll be easy to go from back to front. Probably easier than here at the Nürburgring, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm pretty curious to see that first chicane, to be honest, because I have a feeling first chicane reverse grid race is going to be mayhem.
What would be more dangerous though, the first chicane at Monza or this first hairpin here at the Nürburgring? Because that's also a horrible pinch point.
Yeah, but I would always go with Monza, because when you know this track, that turn 1, it's huge, it's really, really wide. Rather, Monza is this very, very narrow chicane. You've been there, you know what it's like. It is so narrow to go fit 30 cars through. It's not an easy task. You can barely get through there alone, let alone side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when you watch it on TV, it looks a lot wider than it is in real life. It is remarkably, the whole track's remarkably narrow when you actually walk around it. You do think, gosh, this is, well, it's a parkland, old school circuit, and not much has changed, and that's why it is as narrow as it is. Keithley ahead of Yarshall here. Keithley's car jumping all over the place. Really, really worried about his internet connection, because if he has a fallout, that will be completely game over. But you know, in terms of the way that Tim Yarshall's car is behaving on the track versus Jack Keithley's is a big, big difference, and that would be horrific. Jack's already tweeted this evening he's looking forward to fighting and winning himself a DD2. Obviously, at the moment, doesn't race with direct drive. DD, if you're not familiar, direct drive, relatively new from Fanatec, and definitely what everybody who has raced with Fanatec for years would like to progress, but you know, probably 2 or 3 times more expensive than the belt-driven steering wheels, and therefore for people's budgets could be a little bit stretched. A lot of them will have V3 pedals already, but the DD2, and of course the fact that you can have a GT3 R steering wheel in your hand, that's a big deal as well. Is that something you have, Earl? Have you got a replica Porsche wheel?
No, of all things, when I turned up to the simulator, it had a BMW badge on the steering wheel. So, I'll have to post a photo later, but we managed to find a old Porsche crest in the toolbox. So we've stuck that over top of the BMW badge.
Amazing. But the buttons are not in the right place now, for you at least.
No, they're all over the show, but to be honest, you need so many different buttons. You know, trying to work out how to add your fuel at the pit stop is also very challenging, and then calculate your fuel numbers. Yep. So, you know, having buttons for that, and then going into each car and working out what other buttons you can have to change things whilst you drive around. It's also not easy, but one cool thing is having your brake balance on a button instead of a traditional knob or wheel. You've got a button, which is very handy. So there's some pluses and minuses.
And do you have a spotter in your IMSA race? Have you got somebody in your ear helping you out with numbers and fuel and that?
For the IMSA race, yes, I did. So that was the first ever time I've had a spotter, but I've done a few other races. I was very proud of my IndyCar race, where I didn't even know how much fuel is, crashed, got in, and finished with 0.2 of a litre at the end of the race. I was quite happy with my fueling.
Calculations in brackets. It sounds like luck to me.
Total fluke.
This could well be the last lap. It's going to be close for these two. They're coming up to the final chicane. I think we will get one more lap out of this. Ben Spanky has been giving Kevin Siggy a lot of hassle throughout this race. Eastern European rivalries, they're always very strong in RaceRoom, and you've got the Slovakian and the Slovenians there. And over the line then to come to the last lap. No more progress from... Oh, hang on a second. Where has Jack Keithley gone?
I was going to say, where has he just completely dropped the internet and gone? Or where did he go?
I would say yes to that, because we were worried about his connection and he's disappeared. Now, we are resetting the server to go to the next race, so he will be able to, in theory, will be able to get into that next race because it's a different server, it's a new qualifying session, and so all is not lost for Jack Hootley. But that is incredibly worrying for the man who's leading the championship, and it will be no points, and it will be advantage then to Tim Yarshall as we look to Jaroslav Honzik trying to pick up a couple more points to the inside of Rainer Held. Ralph Hauser, oh, bit of contact there, and he gets scooped out the way. There is Tim Yarshall, and Yarshall's looking for perhaps P4 here on this last lap. Is he going to be close enough to kill Antonov to get himself that extra couple of points that'll become so crucial at the end of the race?
Yeah, and that's huge news. You know, I guess in real racing world, you get disappointed with a mechanical failure or an issue at a pit stop. In this virtual world, as we also experienced tonight, it's about internet connection can, you know, lose you the day through random experience. And, you know, that's incredible. That's the first time I've seen that in gaming where we've just completely lost a competitor straight out of the timing stream. I've seen people lose, get kicked off because of the ping rate. So, yeah, definitely huge news. And some of the influencers are right up the field and going to score big points in this race too.
Coming to the end of this final lap then, Kevin Siggy is going to take the victory with Ben Spanky in second position. The checker flag is already out, so they have already crossed the line. Payek in third spot, good result for him. Antonov, Yarshall, and then Brzezinski and Wisniewski, the two Poles, 6th and 7th. Moritz Lerner managing to get into 8th position by the end, and then Emir Ciehan. And look at that, Gamer Muscle held on for 10th, so all was not lost for him. Really got his elbows out, delayed the cars behind, and gave him enough to get some points. Hauser, Gassner, Honzik, Wehrle, and Held, your top 15 drivers and point scorers from that second race here at the Nürburgring on the GP circuit. And now we are going to take a little breather. We're going to reset as there is confirmation of the result. And then we're going to go racing again in Monza in the old cars. A totally different experience. Look at that. McLaren Shadow, Red Bull Racing, Euronics, Lada, Euronics, Williams. It's pretty cool to have those kind of names represented in gaming. It amazes me time and time again to see the likes of Red Bull and Williams and Lada as well participating in esports. Ben?